before we get going too much farther on this, it's always something to make sure that everything is taken care of, especially when you're doing everything at once. And of course, naturally, I forget the stream key once again, so if you'll excuse me for just one moment. Twitch and YouTube, please stand by. We'll get there in just a second. I got one or two more things to get taken care of. And that should do it. And here's where everything starts working properly, hopefully. Yes, let's get this thing going. Okay, good. Going live on Facebook. If you're just joining us, thanks a lot for joining us on Twitch and YouTube. Glad to have you along. We'll be doing a lot more where it comes to weather here in just a little bit. But as of right now, again, it's relatively quiet and should be staying that way into the course of the rest of most of this week. Again, severe weather is off the table according to the Weather Prediction Center, the Storm Prediction Center, so good news on that, but it is going to be the potential of some problems coming our direction in the course of the next couple of days. So we do see that potential problem with heavy rainfall. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. If you're on Twitch and YouTube, you're just about ready to hop on here. So again, right about ready to go, and Facebook coming online in just a second. So here we go. All right, that should do it for the intro section. And of course, naturally on Facebook, I forget to update the time and date. So just one last correction here. This is Tuesday, May 26th. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Thanks for joining us on Weather Overtime for Tuesday evening, sponsored by Epicos Comics, Cars, and Games. Thanks to all of our sponsors for doing business with us here at News 12. We'll keep an eye on what's going on with the forecast. We'll also take a look and see when we might get some lesser amounts of rainfall. I would say drier weather, but that's not happening anytime soon according to the forecast, so stay tuned for more on that. And of course, if you're going to be doing anything near a coastline, when it involves the Pacific coast, the Gulf Coast, into the Caribbean, the East Coast of the United States, 5 days are left until we start hurricane season. And that is very important to know about. It's also important to know more about where you get your weather information from. And a semi-local meteorologist has pointed that out, and I have done so over the course of the last several days and weeks to keep everybody updated on that. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. If you got questions or comments, drop those into the comments section. Say hello, where you're from, stuff like that. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and if you have anything to ask, please do so, and we'll do our best to give you the answer on that. One of the coolest things about meteorology is taking a look at just how the air masses differ, to where when one different type of air mass bumps into another or creates a conflict like showers and thunderstorms and things like that. In this case, one bit of the air mass coming in on the right lower side is much drier several thousand feet up than it is on the upper left side. So a nice little clash point here between the air masses, caught very nicely by News 12 viewer Ned Smith from the Wildwood area, taken over Lookout Mountain near Trenton, Georgia. Beautiful shot, to where it gives you just a little bit more of an idea about what kind of air masses we deal with. It's a good possibility, again, as we go through this. It depends on how much moisture is out there that you cannot see. If there's enough moisture for jet contrails at that height, you'll be seeing a lot more out here than you would be over here because of the clouds just blocking your view on things like that. But if this is a totally dry air mass here, then it's a good bet that you wouldn't see any jet contrails because it is so dry several thousand feet up into the atmosphere. So that's a very nice capture there. So thank you very much, Mr. Smith from Wildwood. If you've got pictures, let's go ahead and see them. A bit of a spider web on the camera from the Chattanooga weather webcam from the Tennessee Aquarium. Again, if you've got any pictures to share with us, please do so. Email, social media, or again, go to Weather Window headquarters at WDEF.com/photos. Love to see what it is that you're seeing out there, so please send those along to us when you get the opportunity to do so. Again, relatively quiet for tonight. There's really not that much going on at this point. From the area around downtown, from the News 12 studios, looking back toward the lights of Erlanger Park, Signal Mountain lights off in the distance on the horizon, and a beautiful night, temperature-wise, great for baseball. Did the entire game get played? That's a big question. North and south towing cameras showing a lot of that moisture out there just hanging in the air. We'll take a look at air quality in just a little bit. 75 current temperature at the airport, and when the dew point temperatures start getting up, that's the temperature of the air completely saturated, and it's very close right now. But when the dew point temperature is very close to the air temperature, you've got a very tropical, sultry feel to everything. And when the dew point starts going above 70 degrees, the closer it gets to the temperature, that is when it really starts feeling uncomfortable. And that is pretty much what we have right now across much of the area. The humidity is very high. The winds are a little bit on the healthy side, southeasterly at about 14 miles per hour. So it's stirring the moisture around a little bit, but not by much. And we'll continue again to see a lot more of that in the near future. Allergies, not as bad as they could be for this time of the year, but we are seeing less in the way of major amounts of problems anyway. Mold spores are low, tree, grass, and weed pollen also on the low side. Data coming to you from the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic, so thank you very much for sponsoring that. Air quality overall at a green or good 42. The main pollution problem is the smaller particle pollution, 2.5 microns. That's smoke, soot, and exhaust out of tailpipes and industry and stuff like that. Even that is at a low to moderate level at about 37. The next highest pollutant earlier this evening was ozone, and that was in a green or good category. The larger amounts of particle pollution at 10 microns, dust, pollen, and soil, very much on the low side. So once again, the air quality doing much better than what it was just a couple of weeks ago, so not doing too bad overall in and around much of the area. Now, checking on radar real quick, radar active for this evening, News 12 viewing area here in the solid black lines, Chattanooga and Hamilton County in the lower portion of your screen. What we're seeing for tonight is mainly just light to moderate scattered showers, and most of those over southeast Tennessee and western parts of North Carolina. We do not have any severe weather tonight. Had a couple close calls yesterday, but we did not see anything touch down. Some very wide rotation on Monday evening. If that had been a little stronger and a little more wrapped up, we probably could have seen some tornado warnings into the area last night, but we're not picking that up. Some lightning strikes out there, but not that much. Northern Georgia, you're getting rid of most of your rainfall and also seeing less in the way of heavy rain, but there are scattered showers from Tennessee down to the Alabama line. DeKalb and Jackson counties in Alabama in the News 12 viewing area, back into northeastern Alabama. There's really just not that much going on. Again, some light passing showers and some pretty good amounts of humidity out there, and that's the way it's going to be throughout the rest of the evening. And more potential of showers and thunderstorms will be coming our direction. How do we know that? Well, if you take a look at the wide-scale regional amounts of radar, that is where we've got numerous areas of showers and thunderstorms. Texas to the Virginias and the mid-Atlantic states, all of this is just a tropical air mass that has been sitting over the area and doing a very good job of keeping our rain chances up. The comfort level out there very low because of the fact that we've got tons of moisture and humidity, and little, if anything, on that is really going to be changing as we go into the semi-near future out there. There is also the possibility of flash flooding. We'll take a look at the information coming up here on that in just a little bit. Here's what it looks like again on the satellite radar composites. Winds coming in from the Atlantic and from the Gulf doing a good job of supplying the moisture that we need for these showers and thunderstorms. And sitting just north of us, that red and blue line, that's a stationary front. That is where you have the irritation point in the atmosphere between the slightly cooler air to the north and the more moisture-rich air, dry to moisture-rich on one side to the other side of the front. And that is where we're seeing the clash point taking place at this time. Now, for the rest of the next several days, we're going to continue to see more chances of rain, more thunderstorms, and it doesn't look like it for right now, but back off to the west, that swirl that you're seeing around parts of Texas, the Rio Grande to the Red River valleys, that is where we're seeing our next storm system develop. That's going to head our way, replacing this one and continuing that flow of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico. So that is where we're going to continue to see, again, the potential for much more in the way of showers and thunderstorms taking place. I wish I had better news. I know this is graduation season. I know that a lot of folks want to get outdoors for gardening, that round of golf, whatever it is, but unfortunately, the pattern will continue into the next few days. A reinforcing front coming down from the north and that area of low pressure developing back to our west should make its way into existence by about Friday at midnight, and then that front continues to basically just stay in place, wobbling across the area, giving us more chances of showers and thunderstorms right into the weekend. Now, into next week, there are some signs that maybe some drier air will start to make its way down from Canada thanks to high pressure up over Lake Superior, and that could give us a little bit of relief. Not much, but it might turn the spigot off for just a little bit anyways, to give us the potential of less in the way of rainfall coming up. So that would really help at this point. Now, over the next couple of days, again, the forecast has been calling for quite a lot of rainfall, and we will be seeing better chances of it in the next few days. Notice that this map is kind of haphazardly scattered to where some areas get a fraction of an inch. Pikeville, the computer model here, calling for 5/100ths of an inch, and then down into around Blue Ridge, Murphy, Andrews, Fort Payne, there could be isolated pockets of 2 to 3 inches plus. So that is why we're looking at the potential of problems when it comes to things like flash flooding. So that, again, is going to be a distinct problem in the course of the next couple of days. Low temperatures, northeast Alabama, mid to high 60s for low temperatures tonight, mid to high 60s for much of north central and northwest Georgia. And into western North Carolina, a little bit cooler here tonight, back into the low 60s. And for southeast Tennessee, mid to high 60s once again. These are the minimum temperatures out there, and we'll continue that potential. Not much in the way of cooler weather coming up anytime soon. It'd be nice, but we just don't really see much of that taking place. And there will be more potential of that rainfall sticking around for a while. We'll take a look at the forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Want to make certain everybody's paying attention to this. This is very important news to make certain that you are aware of if you are heading to the Gulf, the East Coast, or the West Coast. The Pacific hurricane season has already started. It started on May the 15th. It starts a little earlier out on the West Coast. It's going to be starting on around June 1st, coming up here in the next 5 days or so. That is a very important number because, again, at this time of the year, you can pick up some powerful storms that can happen very early and in some cases very quickly. As we've seen, I believe it was Otis in the Eastern Pacific a couple of seasons ago went from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane in less than a day. That is almost unheard of in certain circles, and that warm water of the Eastern Pacific is helping with that. But as of tonight, no tropical formation taking place, and none is really expected in the course of the next 7 days, right into hurricane season. Hopefully it stays that way. It's a very good possibility that the Eastern Pacific will see more potential development out there. Now, as we go, let me skip one slide here. Okay, in the next few days, anything above 80 degrees is breeding grounds for tropical storms. The warmer it gets, the better potential that the ocean will support development, and that's exactly what we're looking for here. Anywhere in this area, some of these temperatures in the Caribbean, South and Western Caribbean into the Atlantic, never dropped below 80 degrees all winter long. And that's not good news, because that means the circulation currents that take the heat away from this area are overwhelmed by the amount of heat out there, and it's not transporting the heat away, which means we've got even more heat to deal with much earlier in the season, and anywhere here could be a perfect spot for a tropical storm to develop, and that is something we really need to watch out for. We really need to watch for this into the eastern Pacific. El Nino is a pattern. It's called El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO for short. A possibility that a super El Nino is developing, and that's not anything in the way of bombastic, anything in the way of overhyping something. There's normal El Ninos where the waters of the eastern Pacific, when the trade winds weaken and don't push the warmer waters of the Pacific off to the west, the trade winds weaken and allow the warmer air to push the waters into the eastern Pacific. That's called El Nino. If it was colder waters here, it would be called La Nina. Both of these have effects on various seasons by causing the air around this area to divert and change weather forecast pattern. Now, during a regular El Nino season, it is possible, and in fact has been proven, that most of the time the El Nino effect here will affect weather in the waters of the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean. That is important to note, because it's on these years that we have a less than average hurricane season where this side of the country is concerned, but a higher than average hurricane season in the Pacific. If it was La Nina, colder waters of the eastern Pacific, that could also have a possible effect with less hurricanes here, more hurricanes in the Atlantic. So what we're looking at right now is this possible, what is called super El Nino, temperatures way, way, way above where they should be for a regular El Nino. Now, it's too early, and until we get into June and July, we won't be able to say that we're actually seeing a super El Nino. That's why the quotations, and that's why the question mark. So it is possible that we could see uncharted territory in weather behavior because of the fact that we've seen what El Nino can do, we've seen what a La Nina can do, even stronger possibilities from things like that. What happens when the waters are this warm? In recent memory, it's been very rare to have something like this happen, and not even as being as well studied as possible. So this is something that is kind of, in a way, to use a nautical term here, very much uncharted territory. So this could have a big impact in keeping our quiet season very quiet from what the experts are saying right now. Now, focusing on just the next couple of days, the red areas, best potential for favorable development into the Gulf and the Caribbean and on the East Coast, right around the Gulf current there. Now that, again, starts to drop off a little bit as we head into the weekend, but there are still potentials of some development there. It's been known to happen. It's not a guarantee, but it is possible that we could see some problems with development coming up here very shortly. So if you are planning an early summer vacation to the Gulf, west or east Florida, the Keys, anywhere down in the Caribbean, Cancun, Mexico, and into the southern Gulf, it is imperative that you pay attention to what's going on and make certain you are up to date on what's happening with weather. Now, I say this to precede the next segment, and thanking ABC 3340 meteorologist James Spann for bringing this to attention. I'm borrowing this graphic from his social media feed on here. There are a lot of places out there, either AI chatbots or weather forecasters who don't have a lot of experience but are very good at catching eyeballs and hooking people into saying, wow, this is great. I need to tell my friends about this, so I'm going to put this out there as a Category 6 hurricane possibly developing on June the 1st. This particular graphic was issued about maybe close to a week ago. And as of right now, there is no forecast that can say that a Category 3, 4, 5 hurricane, and Category 6 does not exist. Okay, hasn't been classified yet. Will that happen in the future? Well, it's possible. We just don't know. But in the meantime, anybody who's saying a killer hurricane developing off North and South Carolina on a certain date at a certain time, and with a kind of a disclaimer here saying this is very early for a deadly hurricane, but we're keeping our eyes on it. Is it possible that one or two of the computer models are saying, yes, there is a development chance? Sure. Is that a guarantee it's going to happen? No, it is not. So again, with a lot of these websites, you really need to take this with a big grain of salt and be very choosy as an online information consumer as to where you get your online information. And please, when you see stuff like this, do not just knee-jerk pass it along, because again, it may just be a lot of wish casting. That's something that real meteorologists have trouble with, because a lot of people say, oh, in a week and a half, we're going to get 10 feet of snow according to this one computer model, and then the closer you get to a time frame, that absolutely does not happen. So again, a computer model can see big changes way out in the future, but as you get closer in time, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So thanks to meteorologist James Spann for passing this along, and also thank you for being choosy about where you get your weather information from. That is so very important, especially at this time of the year. So definitely want to make certain you're paying attention to that. Not totally overcast. Again, some clouds out there and some, call it broken cloud cover for right now, and nobody out and about on the waters on Lake Chickamauga. Rest of the forecast looks like this. Not much of anything happening for tonight or for the next several days. World Otter Day is on Wednesday. Again, temperatures will be taking a bit of a dive, not by much. They'll stay very much in range for where they should be at this time of the year. And notice again that the precipitation chances diminish as we head into next week. It's not much, but hopefully again we'll see that trend continue, and maybe we'll get a dry day with some blue skies out there, enabling everybody to get out and wring things out by just a little bit. In the meantime, there will be more chances of rainfall out there, and unfortunately we just not going to be able to get rid of that anytime soon. So not really seeing much of any good news around here where it comes to anything involving getting rid of the rainfall. So it'd be nice, but just not happening for right now. So we'll keep you updated on that over the course of the next several days, so stay tuned for more there. This was our weather poll question of the day, and this was noted when I was surfing around social media. This is very odd for this time of the year. Oklahoma, we've got 5 days left in the month of May, but Oklahoma as a state has had no tornadoes in the month of May 2026. How long has it been since that has happened? It has happened, but it just hasn't happened that much or that often. Usually May can be a very active month. If you remember, I think it was May 3rd, 1999. That was one of the most horrific days of tornadoes in that part of the state. The question, how long has it been since no tornadoes happened in May in Oklahoma? 11, 21, or 31 years. The majority chose 31 years, 51%. The actual answer was 21 years. So it's been quite some time out there, and it's interesting to take a look and see just where we wound up with that for right now, and what exactly we're going to be seeing for an end of all the severe weather, what there has been of it for Oklahoma in the month of May. This could wind up being a historically low amount of anything involving tornadoes or severe weather, which again is quite peculiar for this time of the year. But thanks to everybody for voting. You can go to WDEF.com/vote now to find out more on that. That should just about do it for tonight. Again, fairly quiet. We've been on for about 25 minutes or so, so that's not too terrible. We continue again to see more chances of rain over the next several days, so keep the rain gear handy. And of course, be prepared if you have any plans to live, work, drive through any low-lying areas. Be prepared to get to safety. Pay attention to the forecast. Remember, turn around, don't drown. It might seem to some to be a stupid catchphrase, but if it keeps people from dying, I'm all for it. So something to think about on things like that to make certain that we all stay safe out there. So again, please play safe. You can catch up with everything involving the forecast, again, on my social media pages. We are live right now on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We also, again, will bring you more details at our website, WDEF.com/weather. Chip has got your forecast bright and early in the morning. And, of course, I'll be back tomorrow evening to keep you updated on what is going on out there. And, of course, you can always email us. My email address at the bottom of the screen on the blue bar at aonek@WDEF.com. Once again, thanks to our sponsor, Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games for, again, making certain that you're our sponsor. Appreciate that. And if you have any questions, give us a contact through the website. Love to hear from you to see what exactly it is that you would like to say to us out there. That should do it for tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again coming up on Peak of the Week Wednesday. Chip Chapman has your forecast